submodes, two submodes, set hour, and set minute. The button A selects the mode. Button A selects the mode each time when it is pressed. Each time when it is pressed, the mode advances. The mode advances in the sequence. Display set hour, set minute, etc. With the B button, the hour or minute, once each time it is pressed. Buttons must be released before they can generate another event. Take down one more case study. Prepare an activity diagram. For computing a restaurant bill. For computing the restaurant bill, there should be a charge for each delivered item. The total amount should be subject to tax and a service charge of 18% for group of 6 or more. For smaller groups, there should be a blank entry. For a gratuity according to the customer's discretion. Any coupons or gift certificates submitted by customer should be subtracted. Okay, these two are for case study. Okay, what you need to do is you need to draw a state diagram for the first one. Okay, in a state diagram it should take two or more states. Okay, so one button should be labeled as button A and the other button should be labeled as a label B. So when it go for a label A, it should contain two submode, that is substate diagram format you need to write. There what you need to do is, just a second. Can you see the whiteboard? Yes, you need to name the states as A and B, and you need to Harshit, Harshit, can you mute yourself? Are you able to see whiteboard?
No,
Manjuna?
ma'am.
No, I have shared a link. You can just click on the link.
Yes, ma'am, we can see.
Okay. Okay, here you need to write two states. Okay, so where you have a button A and button B, and this button A has two sub modes. So when you are writing a substate diagram, you need to use a colon, right? So you need to take it in a form of a separated by a colon, and this state name has display. You can take it as a display. Okay, then for button B, it is a setting of time. So what you can do, you can write it as set time. Set time. So for these two, after writing, you can write a state diagram later. So that is how you need to specify. So later, for writing a set diagram for this, so what you can include different states. Okay, so like this, you can take one for display, one for setting the minute, and one for setting the hour. Like this, you need to write the substate diagram. Is it clear? So next, for preparing an activity diagram, you need to take a completing the restaurant bill. So for completing the restaurant bill, just I will write what are the things that you need to consider. So you need to take the number of items. So you need to take number of items. So so after taking number of items, you need to take a price. for each item. After considering price for each item, then what you need to do is you need to calculate the total. That is, you need to take a sum of all the items that the customer has ordered. So you need to calculate total plus for that whatever the total bill that he has given. So for that you need to add the tax. So after adding tax, so you need to add service charge. Service charge that you need to compute for total bill. 18% you need to add for whatever the sum amount that you are getting. So for that total amount you need to calculate the 18%. So that is only for 6 items. If it is more than 6 items, then what you need to do, you need to enter for a smaller group. That means you need to take a item, whether it is a you need to make a branching. If the items greater than or equal to 6, then you need to add the total tax plus service. Or else if it is a smaller group, then what you need to do, you need to add only the total amount. That's it. Then you need to check whether any coupons are there. If any coupons are there, so from the total amount that a customer has to be paid, you need to subtract the coupon amount. So whatever the coupons are there, so those many coupon amount has to be subtracted. So that is how you need to calculate. The um, bill for bill for restaurant. So this has to be taken in a diagram format. Okay, so you need to take initial condition. You need to add the items added to the cart. Then after adding, you can consider. As those who have joined now, you can click on the link. You can join in a whiteboard. Okay, that is how you need to draw the activity diagram. So next we have a innovative question. Take down the innovative question. Consider any mobile payment system. Consider any mobile payment system taken. Okay, either it can be Google Pay or it can be a Paytm or Phone Pay, any payment system. Okay, so for any mobile payment system, uh, analyze the different requirements that are required that are required to prepare to,  'prepare' 'to' prepare 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 'to' to prepare an app. To prepare an app or application. So for this question, what you need to do is you need to analyze the system. You need to make a application. You need to make a domain application analysis. So in this, what you need to do is you need to analyze what are the different set of requirements that are needed to develop any application. So you need to make a two analysis. Okay, so for any payment application, what are the things that you require? You need to have a banking app linked to it. That is bank account number that has to be linked to the Google app for the payment system. So that you need to consider the account number. Okay, then you need to identify who is a source person, okay, and who is a beneficiary. Source and who is the beneficiary, okay, that you need to identify. So then you need to have a IFSC code that has to be linked to it. Okay, then what else you require? So you need to have a amount. Okay, so these are the basic things that are required. So based on this, you need to design a system. So you need to write the requirements. Then you need to draw the network diagram for this. Okay, so it is similar to your ATM case study that we have taken in a chapter 11. So similarly, similar to that, what you need to do is you need to draw an actor who is a source and the beneficiary, and one actor has a banking system or the cashier system. Okay, you need to identify what are the different requirements that are needed. So these are the some of the listed things that are required for making a requirements. Is it clear? So these are the things that are required. Any doubts in these three questions? Innovative and case study. Okay, so we shall have a quick revision. So the first is the chapter 6. In chapter 6, we have discussed on a nested state diagram. For nested state diagram, we had taken an expansion of the states. So we discussed, so what were the problems with the flat state diagram. So if you are having a n number of states, if we are having n independent states, so the number of states that we require to draw the state diagram is 2 to the power of n. That is where the states are dependent on each other. So when they are dependent on each other, so what happens? It is a practically impossible to create a flat state diagram. That's the reason what we need to do. We can have a expansion of the state diagram. So that can be taken as a substate diagram or a sub diagram of a states. For that we had taken an example of a vending machine. So for in a vending machine, what we had taken a dispense item has a substrate diagram. So where this dispense item substrate diagram has a dispense item has a move arm to collect, move rope, uh, move your arm to correct the column and push the item. So these are the things, different states that we have specified. So other than that, we had discussed on a nested state diagram for a telephone line system, where for a nested state diagram, we had taken a two different things. So the idle state is outside the active state. In an active state, we had a we have a different states. So one is a dial tone, dialing, connecting, ringing, connected, disconnected, busy or a fast busy tone, recorded message, warning message, and a timeout. So these are the states which will be in a active once the telephone is lifted from the off hook or from the idle state. So once the conversation entire thing happens, so later what happens, the system will go to the idle state. And the next thing is signal generalization. So for the signal generalization, what we are using the we are organizing the keyboard in a hierarchical manner, where we have a user input. For the user input has a one signal name, where we are taking a device as an input. So either it can be a keyboard, or it can be a mouse, or it can be a scanner. So we can generalize into two different things. So if the user is using a mouse, so the mouse button can be a input, or it can be a keyboard character as a input. For mouse button, we have two buttons. One is up and down. So where these two buttons are generalized from a mouse button. And next we have a keyboard character, where it is being generalized has a control and a graphic. When it comes for a graphic generalization, we have other three signal classes. So one is a space, alphanumeric, and punctuation. So that is how we are trying to denote the signal generalization. Next, we have a concurrency. So for concurrency control, we had taken an example of a bridge game, where we while playing with the rubber, we have a north-south vulnerability and east-west vulnerability, and we are trying to identify if it is vulnerable, who is going to win. So both the direction are going to be played parallelly. So that is what we call it as a concurrency. Next, one more example for concurrent activities is to display the cash dispenser. When we are going to consider a ATM machine, so the machine will be set up. So once the machine is being set up, that is, if it is verified for a login credentials, then what happens? The process will split into two processes. So one is the dispensing of the cash, and one is the ejecting of the card. So that entire both the dispensing and ejecting card will be taken as a one particular activity, where both the process will happen together. And the next is, we have taken a thermostat model as a sample model, where we are going to use a user interface, season switch, fan switch. So for a season switch, we have a heat, off, and cool. That means you can toggle from heat to cool, or from cool to heat. And again, fan switch either in a on mode or in a auto mode. So these are the things that we have considered. So other than that, what we have a furnace relay. When we are going to take a furnace relay, the furnace relay has a two mode. One is a on and off. So from off mode, you can move to the on mode, and we can run the furnace. So it will happen when the temperature is less than the season switch. So if the temperature is greater than the targeted season switch and the furnace is not in a hot, then you need to move the furnace to the off state. And one more example we have is a air conditioner, ACs. So the AC will be turned on when the temperature is greater than the season switch. Else it will move from on state to off state when the season switch is in a not in a targeted temperature. Next, to run whether the items are in a condition, how do we indicate? So we need to have an indicator, light indicator. So from off state, it will move to the on state. So when it is in a on state, the light is going to blink. So the blinking light indicates that the furnace is in a running state. So when you are turning off the AC or a furnace, then what happens? The light which is blinking, it will be turned off. So that is how we are going to manage the furnace. So next we have a user interface. So for this user interface, what we are using, we are displaying the time and the temperature, and we are trying to run the setup. So when we are running the setup, so what happens, it will move to the sub diagram. So set the clock, set day, and set program. So when it goes to the set clock, so it is a substate diagram. So for setting clock, we can set hour and minute. For setting the program, so we need to specify what program has to be carried out. Okay, then for setting the day, we can increment the day, or we can decrement the day. So that is how we are trying to indicate the state diagram. So next we have a use case model. So in a what is a use case? Use case model is an interaction model which we are dealing with the different levels, where we have a actor and a use case. The actor can be a direct external user who is going to communicate with the system. So the actor can be a customer, he can be a repair technician, or he can be a vending machine. It depends upon the type of application that we are trying to consider. If we are taking, then how do we define a use case? Use case are nothing but one functionality of the system which is going to interact with the external user. Uh, so we have taken an example of a vending machine, beverage vending machine. So for vending machine, we have a different use cases: buy a beverage, perform a scheduled maintenance, make repair, and load items. So these are the four different use cases that we are going to consider. So we have a actor, has a customer, repair technician, and a stock clerk. So what we are mapping the buy beverage for a customer. The customer is going to do only the buying the beverages, whereas a repair technician, what he is going to do, he has to maintain a scheduled maintenance, and he need to make the repair if the system needs any repair. Next, we have a stock clerk. So this stock clerk is going to identify when the items are going to be cleared. What he is going to do, he is going to load the items. So for this writing a use case, we need to have a use case description. When we are taking a use case description, so you need to write the name of a use case, so the summary of the use case, who are the actors who are involved in a use case system, then what is the precondition for that particular application, and a small description of an application, then the exceptions. So what are the exceptions that can arise in a system? Then we need to write the post conditions. So what are the post conditions that are required once the entire process is being ended? And the next thing is we have a guidelines for use case model. Here what we need to determine the system boundary. That is the first step. So you need to identify the scope of the system. So what actually that particular system is going to function. Next, ensure that actors are focused. So you need to identify, if you are specifying any actor, what that actor is going to perform. That has to be specified clearly. Next thing is, each use case must provide a value to the user. So you need to consider the behavior of the system. So whether that user is actually involved into the system, that you need to specify. Next, relate the use case and actors. So whatever the use case that we have written, so for each and every use case, any actors must be map. You cannot leave the use case without mapping to any one of the external user. Next, remember that use cases are informal. So you cannot take any formalities for writing the use case. All the use cases or all the functionalities are informal. And use cases can be structured. So if you want to structure and if you want to have a detailed information, then you can make it as a structured use case. So that is all about the use case. Next, we have a sequence model. So for the sequence model, what we are identifying what is we need to write a scenario. So what is this scenario? It is nothing but a set of events that has to be executed one after the other. Say for example, we have a person called as a Meera. So what Meera will do? She has a banking system, mobile banking system. So what she will do? She will enter into she will log in into the mobile app. So that is the first event. So once she logs in into the system, then what she gets? She gets a secure communication. Once the secure communication is established between the customer and the banking system, what the customer will do? The customer makes a transaction. So if she want to make a fund transfer, so what she is selecting? She is selecting the account number, targeted account number, and she is making the transaction. So these are the scenarios. So whatever the events that are happening, so that we are writing in a form of scenarios. So later these scenarios are taken as a messages which are going to communicate between the objects. So that has to be specified. So how do we specify the communication between the objects? So that will be done through the sequence diagram. Okay. So next we have a sequence model guidelines. So prepare at least one scenario per use case. So whatever the use case that you have written already, which describes the entire system. So for that use case, you need to prepare a scenario. So once the scenario is being prepared, then later what you need to do, you need to take the activities and how the interaction is going to happen, that you need to specify. So abstract the scenarios into the sequences. So whatever the scenario that you have written, that you need to convert into the sequence diagram. So if there are any complex interactions are there, that you need to break up into the smaller interaction and you need to utilize it. Next, prepare a sequence diagram for each error condition. That means when we are trying to model the system, we need to observe where the error condition can arise. So that has to be specified in the diagram itself. So that is how we are preparing a good model, or we are analyzing the system in a better way. Next is an activity model. So how do we define an activity diagram? It is nothing but a sequence steps that make up a complex process which describes in a form of an algorithm or a workflow. It is similar to our flow chart. So we are identifying how the entire workflow is going to happen. So what is the next action? What is the upcoming action dependent on a previous action? So that is how we are trying to verify. So that in our activity diagram, what we have, we can check the condition. So based on a condition, we can split the process, we can combine the process. All these things can happen within a activity diagram. So that can be taken care by the branches. So how do we define the branches here? So by using a diamond shape, we are indicating what condition has to be executed. It will check for the condition. So whatever the related condition is there, that corresponding statement will be executed or the corresponding action will be considered. So next, in a activity diagram, we have a initiation and a termination. So the solid arrow indicates the starting point where you are going to actually start the process. And how do you indicate that entire process is being ended? So by using the termination. So the termination indicates that no further activities are being carried out. So the other name of a termination activity is called as a bull's eye. And the next thing is guidelines for activity. So for guidelines of activity, we should not misuse any activity diagram. And we need to level the diagrams. We need to be careful when you're making a branches and a condition. That means when you have written a condition, so it can have a multiple statements or multiple actions that has to be executed. So you need to take care of that multiple actions. Next thing is be careful with the concurrent activities. So when you want to execute the concurrent activities, you need to specify which activity should be taken as an input. Next is a consider the executable activity diagram. So whatever the activity diagram that you have written, it should follow the procedure, and later it should be in a form of it should be taken care for a implementation stages. So that is how you are dealing with the activity diagram. So next we have advanced interaction modeling. In advanced interaction modeling, we have for a use case, we have a include, extend, and a generalization. So include is a one more relationship that can be utilized as a subroutine. The UML notation for include relationship is a dashed arrow from the source to the targeted object or the targeted use case, where you are specifying the keyword has a include. So if you take a secure session has a one use case, so this secure session includes the validate password. Then if you are making any trade, then again that making trade indicates a validate password. That means what? So if a customer want to make a trading, so first he need to have a secured session established between a client and a server. So how it will be done? By validating the password. So once if his credentials are validated, then only he can make a trading. In that manner, we are trying to indicate that. And next thing is extend the relationship. To extend the relationship, what we are using the incremental behavior. So how it will be taken? It is the UML notation for a extend is similar to the include, where we are taking the dashed arrow. Above that, we are indicating the keyword extend. So we are looking this extend in a opposite direction. Next, we have a use case generalization. The generalization notation is a triangle arrowhead that will be taken. Okay, for that we had taken an example as a make trade, where this make trade is generalized into trading the bond, trading the stock, and trading options, different trading options. So trading options can be further generalized into buying and selling. So that is how the generalization can be taken care. When we are using a use case relationship, we need to follow some of the guidelines. The first guideline is use case generalization. When we are considering the use case generalization, we need to model the common behavior which can abstract the use case, and it should have its own variations. Next, use case inclusion. When you are trying to have a use case include, you need to fragment the behavior and you need to use according to the original use case what you have specified for the activity. Next, the use case extension. For the use case extension, what you need to do is you need to identify what are the different behaviors or optional features are there, what is the base behavior, what are the added features that should be specified clearly. So next thing is we need to identify the difference between the include and the extend relationship. So the include and extend relationship, both are taken as a behavior of our use cases, which are taken as a smaller piece of functionality. So where this included behavior is a part of a configured system. That means it should be a necessary. Say for example, for making trade, validate password is a must. So if it is not validating the password, then the customer cannot make any transaction. He cannot make a trading. Whereas if you are taking the extend as a relationship, so here what happens? So we are trying to add the behavior. So when after having the secure session, what the user can do? So the user has a trading stocks. So what when he is having a trading stock, he cannot take all the trading. He has some limitations. So limit the order is the extended use case of a making trade. So that is how we are taking the different behaviors. So these are the things. So the remaining revision tomorrow, last half an hour, I'm going to take. Is it clear?